Good evening. I'm back, and I'm not really doing great right now. I'm going through a pretty nasty breakup actually, and it's been really hard.
Nasty breakup. I mean, this nasty breakup. There is a river in my home going through my path. It's several inches of standing water everywhere around you. Woo! Like, look at this. Very, very deep. All the way over there, which means that I can't really use this path effectively.
Plus, there's a good amount of just standing water directly beneath my cabin and around it. So I can't get to work exactly the way I would like to right now. But there's still a bunch of things that I can do inside, so I think I will get those out of the way. Excuse me.
Ever since I finished the interior of the cabin, I've really been excited to make everything look as nice as it can. So one of the first things I wanted to do was make a frame for this painting, just by cutting up some 1" by 1" square dowels and just hot gluing something together, because that's all it would really need. And I managed to get that done very, very quickly because, I mean, literally it's 4 pieces, but I never painted it and I never put it together. So now all this footage is just in the video and it doesn't really lead to anything, which is kind of upsetting. But I'm going to leave it in here anyway. So here's something else. Don't think about it. Here's something I actually did finish. I was thinking about my giant knife thing. I don't know what they're actually called, but I thought it'd be really, really cool to make like a mount for it and put it on the wall. So that's what I did with this piece of wood here that I just found laying around. Gave it a nice quick coat of black paint and put in some trim nails to hold it up, because that's basically all trim nails are good for, because they are garbage. And I threw it up on the wall and it turned out very, very nice. I am quite happy with it. Last year when I was doing my spring cleaning, I didn't really focus on the interior for a lot of reasons. One of those is that it was barely even habitable space with not much in it, so I didn't really have to think about it. But this year I have this new recliner, so I kind of needed to figure out new places for everything and see how I could make it work with the space that I had, which was a challenge. And I spent a long time moving furniture around trying to figure out something that worked. And I wasn't quite sure what I was happy with for a long while, but I eventually came to this setup of having the couch over by the wall and having the recliner sort of center stage in the middle of the room. It kind of opens up the space more and makes it a very nice habitable environment that I am happy to be in. So, win-win.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't know it did that.
I found a lot of things during this process, a couple of which were these open-faced outlets that were placed in the dumbest places I could have possibly put them. I'm baffled by why I decided to put them there. They've been covered up for years, but with that finished, that was most of the indoor stuff I wanted to get done. So now my big focus was on all of the stuff just around the cabin. Winter seems to just have an odd habit of eating garbage and tools and lumber that you happen to leave around your house, and it's just, there's always a mess that needs to be taken care of, and that is one of my first priorities because I want this place to look clean and finished. That has always been one of my top priorities, which is why I'm spending so much time picking wood chips out of the gravel. But the wood chips were honestly the least of my worries. I had bats of insulation just laying around. I had logs that had fallen off the lumber pile. Everything was still locked in with snow. It was just a mess. But as usual, I got to start by raking the yard because that really just helps everything out. Even though my rake is pretty beaten up and is missing about half of its teeth, it still does just about as much as it needs to. I guess I'll give it another year before we replace it. After doing some general maintenance around the yard, one of the things I was excited to uncover again is the fire pit. One, just because I need it for burning scrap, and two, it just looks so darn good, at least for now. I'll probably end up redoing it with actual concrete instead of just clay packed in between the stones, because it doesn't really keep them in super well, and I could definitely do it better. But for now, I am more than happy with it, and it really brings the yard together. So I wanted to start by getting a nice fire going and burning a bunch of the garbage that was just laying around.
All right, it took me a minute, but I found a way to get across the water, and it's gone down quite a lot, but now I have a system. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. It's so easy. Now that it's down far enough, step on this stone, and over here to this one, across these, over here, and that gets me across almost flawlessly.
Easy access across the path was a lot more important than it might look, because I think I've mentioned in the last video, I don't have any rubber boots, so if I want to cross the water, I either have to find some way around it or have a designated pair of wet shoes that I put on and take off when I'm done going across the path, and that's miserable. That is absolutely a terrible system, because I've been doing that off camera most of the time. But I definitely needed to get up to the driveway, because it is one of the biggest messes of all, because it is absolutely covered with the debris of the load of wood that me and Ian got back in January, because we just cut that with chainsaws right in the driveway. There's sawdust everywhere, there's logs everywhere, there's some that haven't even been cut still. So I did my best over the course of a couple hours to organize everything, get it all out of the way, and clean up as much of the general debris as I could find. Once I had everything cleaned up to a comfortable degree, I got to work on actually cutting some more wood, because as I've mentioned a couple times now, I am completely out of dry lumber to burn. But I do have piles and piles of wood everywhere from when I cut out this property, as well as a pile on the end of the property where the property line was cut in. So I have more than enough dry stuff that just needs to be cut up. So I brought the chop saw up to the driveway and just spent a couple hours just cutting up as much as I could find.
I was wondering when you were gonna show up. Bastard.
After getting so much woodwork done, I was more than ready for a nice, relaxing evening, so I headed inside, got a fire started, and treated myself to a nice homey evening of tea and painting. Honestly, it was a lot of firsts. First time using these new mugs, first time really using the tea cabinet, and first time enjoying the new fully redecorated space. And I was very much looking forward to it. My desire to paint is a lot like any other project that I take on. It comes and goes in waves, and lately I've really been wanting to get back into it and try some new things again. A long time ago, I sold a painting that had a sort of stylized and colorful, and you guys really seem to like that, so I'm doing another one of these now, and I am really happy with how it turned out. I am always looking for more color in my life, and this really just scratches that itch, which is really why I paint. The next day I got to work almost as soon as it was bright enough to film, and I had a lot that I wanted to get done. First and foremost, I wanted to get the wood from the driveway brought over to the house and stacked, which wasn't too bad using the stepping stones method, and I got it done fairly quickly. After that, one of the things that had been bothering me was there was just a lot of trash everywhere. And I mean, a lot of that is just insulation from the squirrels and stuff, ripping it up and scattering it around. But there was a good deal of just plain old garbage as well that needed to be taken care of. So I did a quick walk around and grabbed everything that I could see. After that, I got to work on this pile of cuttings that I left behind my wood pile that has just been sitting there for years. It's all really small stuff, and I knew that using the same method as I did in the driveway, I could get them cut up and stacked very quickly. So that's exactly what I did. I got quite a bit more wood doing that, and my wood pile is actually beginning to look like a wood pile again instead of a disheveled little stack of soaking wet green garbage that cannot be burned. But after that, I was really running out of stuff to do. I did another once-over on the yard, got to work on the insulation that had just been sitting outside my door for 2 months now, which definitely needed to be done because now there's just these giant bricks of ice directly underneath them that are going to need to melt out after a while, but nothing really too difficult. By this point, I'd done almost everything that I was able to do, because some things were still kind of frozen into the ground, and while I waited for those to get done, all I had to do was touch up all the stuff that I had already finished. So I folded up the tarp for next year, because it's really only going to matter when there's snow, and I plan to do a woodshed anyway, and cleaned up around the woodpile as well as just the rest of the yard and everything else. One of the big things that needed to be done was do a once-over on the shed because it is absolutely a mess. Things have just been getting thrown in there for the last couple months, and it felt very good to actually get a nice once-over on it done. Last but not least, I had some scraps left over from the exterior wall build of the cabin from 2 years ago now that needed to go. So I cut those up and got a nice fire going with those chunks. And with all that out of the way, that is just about good.
And I think that is just about gonna do it for me. I'm very happy with how much I was able to actually get accomplished. I got a ton more wood, cleaned everything up. It feels, I cannot tell you how good it feels to have all the winter clutter out of the way. Well, mostly. There's a little bit that's still kind of frozen to the ground that I'm gonna have to work on as that thaws in the next couple weeks or so. But it's a good start. It's a good start. There's still a lot more that needs to be done. I wanted to clean under both the cabin and the shed, but I guess that can wait because I am ill, as you can hear, for the 100th time this year. And I'm ready to move on to the next project. And it's a big project too. So be excited for that. It'll I don't know when it'll be out. Why on earth would you believe me even if I told you when precisely the next video is coming out? I take anything I say with a grain of salt. As always, the paintings I made in this video are going to be up for sale. If you want to get your hands on either of them, I'll be doing the normal blind auction for those. So if you want to get your hands on one, just send me an email at bettingonalaska@gmail.com and tell me how much you're willing to pay for it. And if you're the highest bidder, I will let you know and we can get payment and shipping sorted out as soon as possible. That's going to be all from me. I've been Mick. Toil for your food. And get a real meal. I'm really hungry. I haven't had nothing but oatmeal for days. Like a small bowl of oatmeal every day for the past week. I am malnourished. See you around, guys.